Good evening, everybody. It's Meredith from Backyard Caring in the Guelph School Library. Welcome back into my kitchen. We've been outside a lot the last couple of weeks, but I thought it'd be a little bit easier for this quick fertilizer talk. Only going to be talking for about 15-20 minutes or so. Hopefully my fans aren't too loud. I don't know if there's any fans of this per se. Let me know if you are a fan of these live streams. That'd be really encouraging. But it's hot, as everyone knows, and it's super hot in my apartment. So my fans are on. So if you hear that in the background, that is what that is. We're going to be talking about 2 fertilizer type things that you can make at home, and 2 that you could purchase that go a really long way. Not just fertilizers, but also things that repel pests. So just DIY products that you can use in your garden to improve conditions out there, whether that be bugs munching on things, or the nutrients of plants that are in pots and containers. That's usually a big one because the soil you put in there doesn't have a lot of nutrients. Stuff isn't leaching in from the environment around. It's kind of an isolated environment inside a pot. Just a reminder that on July 14th, we have a workshop about the rain barrels, and I'll show you mine outside a little bit later from now, and show you how that's going. I've got some plants in there now. It's kind of evolved into something different. I also have some fish in there, and that water will then be actually fed by that fish poop, and be actually a better asset to my garden. Or you can just use a traditional rain barrel. So I'll show you what that looks like, and that'll be a part of the kit that you can buy as a part of that workshop that we're going to have on July 14th. The following weekend, actually not the weekend after that, we are going to have a garage sale at my house in the driveway. It's near downtown Guelph in the ward, and there'll be various tools from the tool library we don't use anymore, we haven't put into inventory, and various items, gardening tools, and various things, maybe even some furniture, I don't know. And all the funds of that is going to go towards the Grow Garden and the Backyard Caring Program and the Guelph Seed Library. So if you're looking for some tools, some gardening tools, antique tools to kind of hang as decoration, things like that, we will be having a garage sale on the 17th of July. And swing by and say hi. We'll be accepting donations. Maybe we'll have lemonade or something, I don't know, coffee. That'll be in the morning until about noon. Lots of cool things there. So yeah, July 14th for the Rain Barrel Workshop. And let's get on to some really awesome homemade fertilizers that you can make in minutes, and I don't think it requires any extra crazy shopping trip even to the grocery store. So the first one I'm going to talk about is really cool, and I only started doing this a couple years ago. It is super easy, and it is banana water, basically. So you're going to grab yourself a jar, whether that's an old salsa container, maybe some pasta sauce, some pickles, whatever. A nice clean jar. I like to save these Classico jars from my family members because they have measurements on the side. The label peels off really nice. They fit really nicely in the shelf. I like when all my jars match up. And I was able to find these kind of reusable hard plastic lids at the dollar store, so they all match. I don't have to go running around looking for the metal lids, and these store up really nice. So what you're going to do is you're going to eat your bananas. They can be a little bit brown. You can wait till they're a bit more brown, or when you like to eat them just as a snack. I really enjoy in the mornings sliced banana on an English muffin with chia seeds, hemp hearts, and peanut butter. Little open face sandwich thing. Cheers in the comments if you like that kind of snack. But yeah, just use your banana peels. You can cut them into square pieces or just leave them whole. I've left them whole. That kind of depends on what you want to do with them after the fact. All you're going to do is put them in a jar. For a jar this size, you only need about 2 peels. And that'll do the trick for this much water. You can do a much larger one and kind of constantly be replenishing and putting banana peels in there. There's no reason why you can't use all of them. But when I use this water, which will be the fertilizer, you then put the banana peel either in your compost, you can put it in your worm composter, you can put it right back around the base of the plants. I don't like to do that because in Guelph, at least in the downtown area, we have rats, we have raccoons, we have skunks. So I don't like to attract that kind of pest. So I'm a little careful about what kind of things I put in my composter. I have a big tumble composter that cannot be accessed by local wildlife. The chickens do not like banana peels, so this is kind of an interesting loophole because pretty much everything else that doesn't go in the composter, which is very, very little, basically just avocado pits and peels, onion skins, things like that they don't eat, goes in the composter. But everything else the chickens eat. If it's just like leftover green bits and things, my rabbit will eat it. So it's a very whole circle system here at my house. But banana peels don't really have a home other than the composter. So what you can do, and this works well both on house plants and outdoor plants. So you put the banana peels in the water. Usually a lot of things will say like filtered water, just as long as, tap water is probably fine if you're going to use this and within a week. But you want to let the banana peels steep in just the water on your countertop with a lid, a little bit ajar. I wouldn't totally seal it up. We don't want to totally ferment this, but you do want to detract from things like fruit flies from actually getting in here or coming into your kitchen in general. You're going to let that steep on your countertop, somewhere where you're not going to forget it. It doesn't need to be in the light. I think indirect light is probably better. And then you're going to use that water, you strain out the banana peel. You can chop them up so that you have more like fine pieces of banana in there. It doesn't really make a difference at all in terms of the water leaching up anything that's in the bananas. Bananas are amazing for this fertilizer because they don't contain any nitrogen. At least none of it crosses over into the water. What you are getting is potassium and the minerals that are contained in the banana peel. Potassium is an amazing fertilizer, and you're not going to overdo it. There's no way to overdose your plants on this because it's just like a natural process that we're doing. You're not chemically overdoing it. I know there's a lot of fertilizers out there where you can measure them, add water. They're like a blue powder type crystal thing, and you can overdo it and you can actually burn your plants. What potassium does is it actually helps your plants pass nutrients between the cell membrane. So if you're going to dose your plants with this and then give it a traditional or a different kind of fertilizer, which I'll show you in a minute, some like the one I use the most, it's kind of like that super booster on top of the other minerals that are contained in here. So I 100% recommend this. It is advised to fertilize your plants at least once a month, maybe twice a month, depending on how much rain we get, how hot it is. In the outdoors, you can definitely, there's some plants I am fertilizing every 3 weeks, maybe every 2 weeks, depending on what they are. If they have a short season, some things you don't want to overdo it. But this works great. And you can, 2 bananas for a jar like this, and what you want to do with this water is just kind of pour a little bit at the base of your plants. You don't want to pour this on the leaves because, again, it's going to attract maybe fruit flies, things like that. And pests, we just want to do a little bit at the bottom so that each plant is getting a dose. You can also take this jar of water, kind of treat it as a concentrate, and fill up a watering can, and then go around with that. So that is banana water. If you have any questions about banana water, ask them in the comments of the video, and I will try to answer those. Really simple, really easy, basically free. A lot of the time, especially in the winter, I'll see bags of bananas for 99 cents. You get like 12 bananas. That would make a lot of banana water for your houseplants, and you can almost exclusively water with that at least once a week, and that would be amazing. The next thing, and I've talked about this a couple times on the different live streams, as you know, I've got chickens. We'll say hi to those guys at the end of the video, maybe, but I do a lot of hatching of chicks in the spring, and of course I eat a lot of eggs. And I make a point to save all of the eggshells, which is kind of gross, but I make sure that they're not too nasty. And I store them in this stainless steel bowl with like a stainless steel lid. It doesn't smell unless you really sniff it close. But what I do is if I bake something in the oven, I keep this nearby, and I will turn off the oven and throw this in there as I've turned the oven off. And I will use the remainder of the heat of the oven to kind of crisp these up and make sure that, for example, you can kind of see there, like any of the residual egg white that might be in the eggshell, it really dries them up, and it also just takes all that moisture. There's not going to be any mold, things like that. So I'll just keep, until I've got like a fair amount, I will just keep throwing them in the oven. You can also turn on your oven. I do it like the super cheap way, like, okay, well, there's still some heat in there, let's throw the eggs in. You definitely don't want to put these on like a broil setting or anything like that, but if you had your oven at 350 just to bake something simple, muffins or whatever, when you take those out and turn the oven off, slide those in, and that'll dry them up. You can do it multiple times. It doesn't hurt the eggs, does nothing to change what's going to happen with these nutritionally in terms of their use in the garden. but it does keep them nice and dry and therefore clean, non-moldy or smelly. It just keeps them dry and makes it super easy for this next step. So save your eggshells, it is worth it. I've got my food processor without a lid. I wonder where my lid is. That's important for this. Let me just find the lid. I've already got some ground up at the bottom because I want to make a fair amount, but I will show you what happens. I've stuffed them in kind of gently. You can pack them down and kind of pre-crush them, but I want the blade to be able to do its work. So let me just see. I think I left the lid just right over there. Here we are. Of course, it would be a huge mess. It actually isn't very loud. My rabbit's looking at the cord like, what are you doing? It's over top of me. And I have it on like the puree setting up the chop. I want a super, super fine kind of mulched eggshell. Within a couple seconds, I have completely mulched eggshells. You want to keep this closed. I'm going to keep going, I guess. You want to keep this closed because there's like a fine dust that comes up. You can actually kind of see it in there. If I open this up, you'll see. You don't necessarily want to breathe that in, but that's just egg dust. And we have like this fine, chalky egg powder. It smells kind of weird, but not horrible. And I'll show you how we use that in the garden in a minute, but basically this is going to be calcium. This is also a great way to deter things like slugs and snails and everything like that. And if you have different colored eggshells like I do, you get this kind of pretty mix of colors going on in that crumb that we just created. Maybe I'll load some more in. I just kind of stuff them in around the edges. And I gotta use up all of these because I need room for fresh eggshells. Yeah, didn't take too long to collect this, but if you really want to make a lot of this product, ask your friends and family to save their eggshells. Make sure they leave them in like a dry place where they're not going to be moldy and gross. And then we just buzz them for a few seconds. Oh, it doesn't want to get in the right place here. I think I've overloaded it. So never mind. Oh, there we go. Nope. It would help if I plugged it in again. How about that? And boom. Okay, let's do that trick again where the egg dust comes up. Ooh, magic kitchen tricks. Okay, don't smell it. It's not the best smell in the world. I will say. It just smells eggy, let's just say. Not making me gag, but it is not the nicest. But this kind of product, they will sell at a store for many, many dollars. So you're saving a lot of money. It's something that you would have otherwise thrown out in your composter. You can just grind these up and stick them in your composter. Or your worm compost bin, anything like that, and that'll really help out. So I've got a fair bit in there. We've got the banana water, so we've got those two great things that you can make at home for basically no money. Water, you need the right tools like a food processor. Just make sure you really, really clean it well before you make something else edible out of this. You could even have a dedicated, thrift store food processor for these kind of things, which is something I might do in the future because I do so many non-edible things with mine and then have to super clean it. But just to make sure, this will end up making maybe 1.5 cups, maybe 2 cups of eggshell powder kind of crumb. So that's a lot of product that can go very far, and that can treat my entire garden, my whole portion of my community garden bed, and is totally free. So that is really exciting. The other two products that I use a lot of in the garden, and one of these works pretty much just like the eggshells, but it does act better on certain things, is like a diatomaceous earth product. My dog is barking outside because he wouldn't come in earlier. Adam! This is diatomaceous earth, and they sell it like this. I'm gonna have to let my dog in for a second. Maybe we'll go outside. They sell it in, Safer sells it. You can get this at any hardware store, and they disguise it, and it's much cheaper this way than just buying a huge bag of diatomaceous earth that you're never going to use and you're going to have a hard time applying. But what they do is they have it in like this like squirt bottle, spray bottle, and it kind of makes like a powder poof, and you can really target certain areas of plants. And although this says bed bug and flea killer, it was on sale for $2, and it is 100% diatomaceous earth. Which is a lot cheaper, and this bottle is recyclable. So, and I think I go through one of these maybe every 3 years. It goes really, really far. It's almost totally full when you get it. You can use this in your house. You put this along windowsills and doors, and then just vacuum it up later, things like that. My dog is really barking now. The other thing I use, and this lasts a very long time, and I swear by it, is something called musky, and it is fish emulsion tea, essentially. It smells very fishy, it smells very bad, but it has a little bit of nitrogen in it, phosphorus, it's got everything, and it's a foliar spray, so you put it in either a sprayer or a watering can, and you can target the entire plant, and the plant will actually take it up through the leaves. Not every plant can do that, but tomatoes, potatoes, a lot of edible plants, most veggies can take up the nutrients through the leaves. You can make your own fish emulsion by collecting rotting fish heads and scales and bodies and things and leaving them in a bucket, but it smells nasty. This one container costs about $12, and it'll last you, I mean, I'm an extra user. Like, I have quite a large garden, I have quite a large community garden and other places where I use this. One bottle of this, which I think is a kilogram, it says, will last me like $1. It's like $1 every 100 grams. It really goes far. I use like a cap or two full per one watering can or sprayer. And it lasts for 3, 4, 5 years. This container is very old. It's like sun damaged. I picked up some when it was on sale. It lasts a long time inside this container, but I highly recommend it. Again, this is recyclable, and it goes a really long way. So any kind of concentrated fertilizer, these are all organic, easy to find. Let's take the eggs. I'm going to leave the banana water for now. I think you guys have a pretty clear understanding of how that works. Basically, you just put it at the base of your plant where you want to use it. On that plant, works great for house plants. Target the soil. Hello, dog who's barking. So the chickens are out here. Thank you so much, ladies, for the eggs. Thank you so much for those. Now, they can actually eat this, which I know might be kind of backwards to some people, but once it's ground up like this, they don't recognize it as actual egg. And it's really good for them to retain calcium, but they're not going to recognize it as eggshell and then start eating their own eggs. So it's a really good like supplement, ironically. They're kind of biting my flesh a little bit. Let's take this out. Well, you want some, don't you? He's like, the chickens are eating it. It must be yummy. Okay. I don't need the blade anymore. But you can see how actually dusty, fine, powdery that actually got. Pretty awesome. We don't need that. Leave it alone, Adam. The chickens are really enjoying it. They have no idea that it's their own eggshells. And that's a good thing. But it's a really good source of calcium for them. You can also buy them like oyster shell to help supplement your egg. This will just make their eggs super hard, which is what you want. Some chickens end up with really soft shells, which isn't very fun because you come out to cracked eggs or like a weird floppy egg, which never happens to me, but it does happen to some people. And this is something you can do. Chickens can actually do like a diatomaceous earth bath, so that product there you can actually give the chickens as well. Put it in their feathers, and that'll help treat them against any kind of fleas, ticks, mites that they might get in their fur. This guy's packed a little bit, aren't you, girl? She's like, where's the food? Okay, so we're going to put some of this at my tomatoes at the front. I'll warn you in advance. This is my front yard, so some people walk by and then they talk to me during the live stream, which is fun. And they don't know that I'm streaming. They just think I'm crazy. You coming out, Adam? So I've got some tomatoes doing very well. Some stuff on this end is not doing great, but I think that's because my soil is very, very high in nutrients and they're not liking it. But what I'm gonna do is put some around the base of my peppers and basil here. Actually, I was gonna show you guys too. We did a cutting last week and I'm gonna show you. We can see how bushy this is getting since we did trim the top last week. There's the residual. These ones are coming on nicely. Just gonna take some of that eggshell and just spread it around the surface. It can fall on the leaves, it's totally fine. I've got some micro dwarf tomatoes under there. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of put it everywhere just to hamper any pests from coming in and around these plants. We've got some pest action by the looks of it. This tomato here is a variegated tomato. You can see that it is from here. Tomatoes really love calcium. Is usually something that they will react most to, is a lack of calcium. I need to do a bit of trimming up of this plant. I have sharp little thumbnails, but if you have little scissors, that works too. Being mindful to always take away your tomato cuttings so you don't pass on blight by leaving a rotting tomato leaves at the bottom of your plant. Always take them away, toss them. And then put that at the base of the plant where the roots are. You can make kind of like a little circle of protection, but that's all you really need. Where'd my dog go? Adam. And hi. And then we're gonna do some on the potatoes and my butt planters. If you saw those the other week, they're doing really well and they're pretty fun. They're gonna benefit from some extra calcium. Literally, this is just like a little tiny handful sprinkling around and it goes really far. The plant is really going to thank me for that. Because these are heated in the oven, it's not going to attract any pests, so that's great. We're just going to put some around. Okay. So yeah, these ones need a little bit too. It's a busy time of night. People are always walking their dogs, so bound to have some live visitors. But yeah, literally just throwing a bunch underneath the plant. And like I said, any leaves that touch the ground, you want to remove those. Make sure there's lots of airflow underneath the plant. And that's it. That's probably not even the equivalent of one eggshell, but because it's super pulverized, it goes a long way. All right. There. And that's it. So yeah, that's the pulverized eggshell. Adam, come on. Let's go. Adam, come on. Now my dog's at the street and wants to just sniff. I'm waiting for him. I'm going to show you guys the rain barrel that's a part of the workshop that we're going to be doing and what mine looks like right now. Adam, come on. Let's go. Okay. He's following. Good. The chickens want more eggshell. Don't you guys? They're very interested in that. And they have no idea that it's eggshell, but it's totally safe. Okay. Adam, come on. So, as we journey into my garden, looking very lush, here's my rain barrel. This will be the rain barrel that's a part of the workshop. It comes with everything you need, including a lid, which I have elsewhere, but there is a kind of overflow pipe, and you can trim that to size, but mine goes all the way out into like this kind of garden bed against the wall that I have to add some soil to. It comes with a spigot. I have attached a hose to that. I usually just, dunk from the top, but this will allow you to drain it from the bottom. I have a hose. I can either aim that into my raised bed or into a watering can. I just will, add some eggshell while we're here. This planter has some really funky tomatoes in it. These are Fuzzy Wuzzy tomatoes. It's a dwarf variety that's like super fuzzy and kind of blue almost in comparison to a different kind. There's also a pepper in there and some double petunias. So just kind of a mishmash in there. And they will all appreciate some eggshell like that. I would have loved to get more eggshell down before that major rain, but I'm almost glad because it completely washed out this area. The roots were like exposed because the rain came off of here and just completely drained a bunch of dirt right here. Not great. Okay, yeah, that's the rain barrel. I have some water hyacinth in there and some goldfish that are fed various things, including goldfish food, and then they poop. The water is cleaned, changed regularly because there is no like air pump on this, but it is aerated often through just using it. The plants do a pretty good job as well, giving them a bit of shade and shelter. And then that water is like extra nutrified by the fish waste. So there you go. So if you're interested in one of these rain barrels, join us on the 14th of July for that virtual workshop where you will join us online as we put it together, but also you will receive your rain barrel to kind of do it along with us. This is the collar that attaches the lid. I'm not even actually using it. I could take it off completely, but yeah, I added that spigot thing into where the water comes in, but the drain, I should say. But this is what you'll get, plus a lid, and it works great. And you can paint that surface as well if you sand it up and use an outdoor safe paint. I'm trying to think what else is going on in here that's interesting. But there's another variegated tomato that's still kind of small, but you can really tell on this one that it's variegated, which is kind of neat. Anyway, so that's been DIY fertilizers and garden additives. You can totally just rely on those two, and that will get you pretty far. And you can get a bag of compost, make your own compost tea. Maybe we'll do that eventually. But if you supplemented your soil well, watering well, regular basis, and then you're just supplementing with the banana water and some of your eggshell mixture, then you should be having a really great season, and I hope you are. If you have any garden questions or things you'd like me to cover in the live stream, we go live every Wednesday at 7 on the Guelph Tool Library. Again, I'm Meredith from Backyard Caring, and I will see you next week. Bye!